20 outrageous ways Prince Andrew ruined his reputation. Prince Andrew's fall from grace is one of modern history's most shocking royal scandals. Once celebrated as a war hero and beloved prince, his reputations crumbled under scandal, controversy, and a series of jaw-dropping missteps that left the world stunned. His name, once associated with royal prestige, is now synonymous with disgrace and disbelief. So how did it all go wrong? In this video, we're pulling back the curtain on 20 outrageous ways Prince Andrew single-handedly destroyed his legacy. From his highly questionable friendships with ill-famed personalities to his disastrous public statements, stay with us as we unravel the timeline of bad decisions, uncover the hidden truths behind his downfall, and expose how a once beloved prince became the poster child for royal scandal. Number 1. Friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. Prince Andrew's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein was a ticking time bomb that ultimately became the turning point in his fall from grace. They reportedly met in the 1990s, introduced through Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's close associate and daughter of media mogul Robert Maxwell. As Epstein's reputation deteriorated due to allegations of sex trafficking, many of his high-profile friends distanced themselves, except Andrew. Even after Epstein's 2008 conviction for procuring a minor for prostitution, Andrew continued to visit him, a decision that baffled the public. His infamous 2010 stroll through Central Park with Epstein just after Epstein's release from prison sent shockwaves through the media. Many questioned why a royal would maintain such a close bond with a convicted sex offender. This friendship raised alarming questions about Andrew's judgment, and its consequences continued to overshadow his legacy, with many viewing it as a blatant disregard for royal responsibility. Number 2. The BBC Interview disaster. In a misguided attempt to clear his name, Prince Andrew agreed to sit down with BBC's Emily Maitlis in November 2019. What was intended as an opportunity to provide clarity and apology for his association with Jeffrey Epstein turned into a public relations nightmare. Andrew's answers came off as defensive and evasive, especially when he described staying at Epstein's house as convenient. He also failed to express sympathy for Epstein's victims, a glaring oversight that outraged viewers. His infamous explanation about not sweating due to a medical condition and his bizarre Pizza Express alibi only made matters worse. The interview, meant to improve his reputation, instead damaged it further. Public reaction was swift and unforgiving, with the interview being dubbed one of the worst PR moves in recent history. The disaster marked a significant turning point in Andrew's public life as it led to increased scrutiny of his actions and forced him to step away from royal duties. Number 3. Allegations of sexual assault. The accusations made by Virginia Giuffre that she was trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein and forced into sexual encounters with Prince Andrew sent shockwaves across the globe. These allegations placed Andrew at the center of a highly publicized and deeply disturbing scandal. Giuffre's claim that she was a minor when the alleged encounters occurred sparked intense media scrutiny, particularly after the release of a photograph showing Andrew with his arm around Giuffre's waist, standing next to Ghislaine Maxwell. Although Andrew has repeatedly denied the allegations, the weight of the evidence and the seriousness of the accusations irreparably damaged his public image. The case became symbolic of the abuse of power and privilege, casting Andrew as an emblem of the darker side of royal privilege. These allegations, combined with his other scandals, have become one of the primary reasons for his estrangement from public life and the royal family. Number 4. The $16 million settlement. In 2022, Prince Andrew reached a financial settlement with Virginia Giuffre to avoid a court trial over the sexual assault allegations. Though Andrew maintained his innocence, the reported $16 million settlement raised eyebrows, with many seeing it as an effort to avoid further public scrutiny. The fact that such a large sum was involved fueled speculation that Andrew was attempting to buy his way out of a potentially damaging trial. While settlements are not admissions of guilt in the court of public opinion, the settlement did little to clear his name. Many people felt that if Andrew was truly innocent, he would have fought the case in court rather than settling. This decision only solidified the public's belief that there was more to the story than Andrew was willing to admit. The settlement may have protected him from a prolonged legal battle, but it further tarnished his already fragile reputation. Number 5. Pizza Express alibi. During the infamous BBC interview, Prince Andrew claimed that on the night he was accused of being with Virginia Giuffre, he was actually at a Pizza Express in Woking attending a birthday party. This alibi, rather than clearing his name, became the subject of widespread ridicule. The idea of a royal choosing such an ordinary location for a meal was hard for many to believe, and the statement quickly became the focus of countless memes and jokes. Social media exploded with skepticism, and the story only made Andrew's explanation seem more implausible. Instead of serving as a strong defense, the Pizza Express alibi became a punchline, further damaging Andrew's credibility. The bizarre nature of this defense overshadowed any serious discussion of the allegations, leaving the public with more questions than answers and casting further doubt on Andrew's attempts to distance himself from the scandal. Number 6. Insensitive remarks about Epstein's victims. One of the most shocking moments of Prince Andrew's BBC interview was his lack of empathy for Epstein's victims. Rather than offering a heartfelt apology or expressing remorse for his association with Epstein, Andrew referred to Epstein's behavior as unbecoming, a gross understatement given the severity of the crimes. His comments were perceived as cold and dismissive, which only served to increase public outrage. Victims of Epstein's trafficking operation were left feeling ignored and insulted. As Andrew appeared more concerned with defending his own actions than acknowledging their suffering, the public was appalled by his failure to show even a shred of compassion for the women who had been exploited. This glaring lack of empathy reinforced the view that Andrew was out of touch with the gravity of the situation and more focused on preserving his own reputation than addressing the real harm caused by his association with Epstein. Number 7. Lavish spending. Prince Andrew has long been criticized for his lavish lifestyle, which has been at odds with public expectations of royal duty and service. His frequent luxury holidays, expensive property purchases, and extravagant personal spending, often funded by taxpayers, sparked outrage. Even after stepping down from royal duties, Andrew's personal expenses continued to make headlines. During times of economic hardship, his opulent lifestyle was viewed as a slap in the face to the public, deepening the perception that he was out of touch with the struggles of ordinary citizens. From luxury skiing trips to extravagant birthday parties, Andrew's spending habits contributed to the negative public image that had been building over the years. His reluctance to scale back his lavish spending, even as public opinion turned against him, only served to widen the gap between him and the general public. Number 8. Use of the royal helicopter for personal trips. Andrew's use of the royal helicopter for personal trips, including outings to golf courses and private events, became a symbol of his perceived abuse of privilege. Funded by taxpayer money, these flights were seen as unnecessary and wasteful, especially when compared to the more modest behavior of other members of the royal family. The public was outraged that Andrew was using an expensive mode of transportation for personal leisure while taxpayers footed the bill. This extravagant use of royal resources highlighted Andrew's apparent disregard for public opinion and further alienated him from the British public. The optics of a royal using public funds for personal enjoyment during times of economic uncertainty contributed to the growing resentment towards Andrew, reinforcing the narrative that he was out of touch with reality and focused solely on maintaining his own luxurious lifestyle. Number 9. Dubious business dealings. Prince Andrew's role as a trade envoy for the UK placed him in close proximity to wealthy businessmen and foreign autocrats, some of whom were later implicated in corruption scandals. His involvement in questionable business dealings raised serious ethical concerns, as many believed he was using his royal status to secure lucrative deals for personal gain. One of the most controversial incidents involved Andrew's meetings with Muammar Gaddafi's son and other questionable figures. These business ties blurred the lines between Andrew's royal duties and personal interests, leading to accusations of impropriety. His reputation as a royal fixer in these dealings further damaged public perception of his role within the monarchy. The public and media alike questioned whether Andrew had improperly used his position for financial gain, adding another layer of scandal to his already tarnished legacy. Number 10. Exploitation of royal privileges. Prince Andrew's use of his royal status to gain access to exclusive circles of power and influence has been a recurring theme throughout his career. As a trade envoy, he often leveraged his position within the royal family to secure deals and investments, many of which raised ethical concerns. Andrew's exploitation of these privileges for personal gain drew widespread criticism, particularly when these deals appeared to benefit him directly rather than serving the public interest. The perception that Andrew was more interested in wealth and privilege than fulfilling his royal duties only added to his negative public image. His actions were seen as a betrayal of the values the monarchy is supposed to represent, further deepening the divide between Andrew and the public. This unethical exploitation of royal privileges has been a key factor in his fall from grace. Number 11. Involvement in the Kazakhstan scandal. Prince Andrew's connection to Kazakhstan, and specifically the sale of his Sunninghill Park home to a Kazakh oligarch for £15 million, raised numerous eyebrows. The property was sold for well above market value, which led to widespread speculation that the transaction was a favor to secure royal access and influence. Andrew's relationship with Kazakhstan's government officials, including his trips to the country for business and personal leisure, were heavily scrutinized. The unusual sale price of his home fueled allegations of shady dealings and raised questions about whether Andrew had improperly used his royal status to strike the deal. This episode further solidified the view that Andrew operated in murky waters, prioritizing personal gain over transparency. Number 12. Inappropriate behavior at social events. Numerous reports have surfaced over the years regarding Prince Andrew's inappropriate behavior at social events and parties. He earned a reputation for making off-color remarks and behaving in ways unbecoming of a royal. In some instances, partygoers described his behavior as flirtatious and overly familiar, often making those around him uncomfortable. These incidents, though individually minor, contributed to an overall narrative that Andrew has little regard for the decorum expected of someone in his position. These stories resurfaced frequently in the press, painting a picture of a man who was out of step with modern standards of behavior. Number 13. Disregard for public opinion. Throughout his many scandals, one of the most glaring issues with Prince Andrew's public persona has been his apparent disregard for public sentiment. Rather than acknowledge the gravity of his mistakes or attempt to make amends, Andrew often seemed indifferent to the growing anger surrounding him. Even as calls grew louder for him to take responsibility for his actions, he remained defiant, showing little awareness of the damage he'd caused to both his own reputation and that of the royal family. His arrogance and refusal to engage meaningfully with his critics have been key factors in his alienation from the British public. Number 14. The Randy Andy nickname. Before the Epstein scandal, Prince Andrew was already no stranger to tabloid attention. His reputation as a playboy in his younger years earned him the nickname Randy Andy, a moniker that's followed him throughout his life. Stories of his romantic escapades and numerous relationships with models and actresses filled gossip columns, reinforcing an image of Andrew as someone who enjoyed the trappings of royal privilege without much concern for public perception. While these affairs were relatively harmless at the time, they contributed to the negative media narrative that would later engulf him during the Epstein saga. Number 15. Stripped of royal duties. In the wake of the Epstein scandal and the disastrous BBC interview, Prince Andrew was effectively forced to step down from all royal duties. This unprecedented move by Buckingham Palace reflected the gravity of Andrew's situation. He was stripped of his public roles and military titles, a significant fall from grace for someone who once held prominent positions within the royal family. While this move was seen as necessary to protect the monarchy's reputation, it marked a major personal and professional loss for Andrew, who had spent decades representing the Queen at public events. Number 16. The shady sale of his Swiss chalet. Adding to Andrew's financial woes was the controversial sale of his Swiss chalet. The luxurious property, Chalet Hillora, was originally purchased with the help of a loan, but Andrew and his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson reportedly struggled to pay off the remaining debt. Legal battles ensued with the previous owner, who accused Andrew of failing to make the final payment. This debacle not only raised questions about Andrew's financial management, but also brought more negative attention to his already fragile reputation. The chalet's eventual sale did little to improve public perception, as it was seen as another example of his poor judgment. Number 17. Failed PR campaigns. Throughout the years, Prince Andrew's attempted to rehabilitate his image through various public relations campaigns. However, these efforts have largely backfired. His decision to sit for the BBC interview, for instance, was intended as a chance to clear his name, but instead, it further entrenched the public's negative perception of him. Additionally, his attempts to promote charitable endeavors or highlight his military service were overshadowed by the ongoing Epstein scandal. The failure of these PR efforts has only solidified Andrew's status as one of the most disgraced members of the British royal family. Number 18. Alienation from the royal family. Prince Andrew's actions and resulting scandals have caused significant strain within the royal family. Public appearances in recent years have shown a noticeable distance between Andrew and other senior royals, particularly his siblings. The Queen's decision to strip Andrew of his public duties was seen as a painful but necessary step to preserve the monarchy's reputation. While Andrew maintains a personal relationship with his family, it's clear that his role within the institution has been severely diminished. The alienations become more apparent during key royal events, where Andrew's presence has been limited and largely overshadowed by the ongoing controversies. Number 19. Legal battles and media coverage. The legal battles surrounding Prince Andrew, particularly his lawsuit with Virginia Giuffre, have kept him in the media spotlight for all the wrong reasons. Even after the settlement, the press has continued to scrutinize Andrew's every move, with many outlets portraying him as someone who escaped accountability through financial means. This relentless media coverage has ensured that his scandals remain fresh in the public consciousness. Andrew's inability to shake off these legal and media challenges has left him in a state of permanent disgrace, with little hope of redemption in the eyes of the public. Number 20. Public outcry and loss of support. The culmination of Andrew's actions has led to widespread public outcry and a significant loss of support, even from royalists. Once viewed as a war hero and beloved prince, he is now regarded as a liability to the royal family. Public sentiment has shifted dramatically, with many calling for further distancing of Andrew from royal events. His perceived lack of accountability combined with his privileged lifestyle has left many feeling disillusioned with both Andrew and the institution of the monarchy. As a result, Andrew's legacy is now defined by scandal and disgrace, a far cry from the respect and admiration he once commanded. As we've seen, Prince Andrew's reputation has been shattered by scandal after scandal, with each misstep further tarnishing his legacy. From the disastrous BBC interview to the troubling ties with Jeffrey Epstein, it's clear that his fall from grace is a story that will go down in royal history. What do you think was the turning point for Prince Andrew? Was there ever a chance for him to redeem himself? Or was his reputation always on a downward spiral? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more interesting updates. Thanks for watching, and until next time, bye!